just about everything is getting more expensive. Inflation soaring 3.8% versus last year.
America is officially broke because the national debt just officially passed the size of the entire economy. So here's what you need to know to protect.
Is this the part where we're winning? Are we winning yet? So the inflation report came out today and it says consumer prices jumped more than expected in April, a sign that inflation is accelerating.
Inflation just surged to the highest level since 2023.
America is officially broke because the national debt just officially passed the size of the entire economy. So here's what you need to know to protect yourself. The US debt surpassed 100% of GDP for the first time since World War II, and it's likely going to break this record real soon. In plain English, the US owes more than what it makes an entire year, and it gets worse. So you know how we as individuals can calculate our net worths, right? We take what we have, aka assets, minus what we owe, aka liabilities, and that is our net worth. Well, the country can kind of do the same. So a couple of economists ran the Treasury's own numbers and found this: $6 trillion in assets, $47 trillion in liabilities. That means Uncle Sam is $41 trillion under the hole and technically insolvent. But here's the thing: countries that print their own money don't go bankrupt the way that you and I do. So what do they do instead? They debase, meaning they print more money, like exactly what they did over here. So meaning every dollar that you already have in your pocket drops in value. To put in perspective on how bad it's been, a dollar back in 1913 has the same purchasing power as 3 cents today. That's 97% purchasing power gone. So how do you protect yourself? Two assets: gold and Bitcoin. Ray Dalio, who runs the largest hedge fund in the world, recommends putting 5 to 15% of your portfolio in gold or Bitcoin as a hedge. And one ETF that I personally use is BTGD. This is not sponsored, I just really love them. And basically what this ETF does is that every dollar that you put in, you get $1 of gold exposure and $1 of Bitcoin exposure. So you're getting 200% notional exposure. Typically, if you only have $1 and you want to split it against two assets, that means 50 cents goes here and 50 cents goes there. But this one, you get $1 here and $1 there. So it's capital efficient. So you're stacking both hedges instead of splitting one. But of course, it does come with more downside. So do yourself a favor, whether it's owning this ETF, gold, Bitcoin, or other assets, just don't hold too much cash. Save and send this video to a friend so you don't forget.
The Federal Reserve is running out of reasons to cut interest rates. If you did not know, interest rose again, inflation rose again in March, and it's projected to go up again to 3.5%. Consumer sentiment hit a record low in May. Why do we measure consumer sentiment? Because consumer spending makes up 80% of the economy. If consumers are not spending, it will damage 80% of the economy. April payrolls, wow, 115,000 jobs. Warning, warning, warning. You know that February payrolls were revised down to a negative 92,000. In addition, 2025 was revised down from 1 million to 500,000 to 181,000. Look at this chart. The stock market only made 4% in the S&P 500. It normally averages 10 to 12%. So saying the stock market is booming is not correct. The S&P 500 is a makeup of the 7 top AI stocks. AI spending is egregious. That is actually what is contributing to our GDP. Oh shit, let's get into gas prices. $4.65 a gallon. That's an average, ladies and gentlemen. Some people are paying $5, $6, almost $7 a gallon. Diesel in Las Vegas is $6.70. Everything that we use and consume, 75% goes on a truck from point A to a store. Get ready for possible hyperinflation. The last time we hit these gas prices was in 2022 when Russia struck Ukraine. We had almost 9% inflation. We are in week 9 of the Iran war, and we are spending anywhere from $1 billion, so $72 billion, to $2 billion a day. That does not include the bases that are destroyed, the embassy, the ships. It just includes mostly weapons and payroll. Whirlpool put out a recession indicator. Warning, warning, warning. I'll do another post about that. This is your update on the economy. Please, if you like this, please like, comment, follow, and share for more.
So it has just been revealed that Trump has exploded the national debt. It is the largest it has ever been in history. And I don't mean just the number. I mean, our national debt is now larger than the entire U.S. economy. That's disturbing. If Democrats don't take back power in November and rein Trump in from looting the federal government, It will be 100 years before we recover from this. Trump has been liquidating the Federal Reserve. He has been giving money to his friends and his children through government contracts, through unlimited expense accounts so they can buy planes and go on vacations. The head of the FBI, Secretary of Transportation, they're just going on personal trips all over. Not to mention the fact that many of the cuts that will affect everyday people are going into effect after the midterms. He has destroyed this economy. I cannot tell you how important it is that we take back power in November. He's just using the Federal Reserve as his own personal piggy bank. I mean, he's bankrupt every business he's ever owned. What did people think he was going to do?
Is this the part where we're winning? Are we winning yet? So the inflation report came out today and it says consumer prices jumped more than expected in April, a sign that inflation is accelerating as the Iran war's fallout ripples through the economy. This is great. So inflation rose to its highest level since 2023 in April. Is this winning? Inflation's up. The 3.8 annual increase marks the fastest pace of price growth since May of 2023 and is also a notable jump from March when CPI rose 3.3 year over year. Right. So let's just look around. We are in a war, right? That this president said that he literally campaigned on no new wars. He was going to bring, gas prices down. Gas is through the fucking roof, especially if you're here in California. Everything's expensive. Go to the store. The dollar is just not going as far as it used to. Home prices are out of control. Interest rates have not done anything. Everybody is feeling it across the board. And you have these idiots on the Republican Party screaming, short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Things are not good. Let me know what you all think about this in the comments.
All right, y'all, the inflation report just dropped, and the number came in higher than analysts were expecting at 3.8%. Now, of course, most people knew this was coming because the strait's still closed and the prices are still going up, right? But the important thing to understand about this report is it's just the teaser. This is just the teaser right now. First of all, this is the April report, right? So this is from last month, and this was mostly driven by energy, gas, and airlines. Now that's significant for a couple of reasons. One is because April was the month where we were stabilizing prices, manipulating, and we're still burning through our reserves, right? So in terms of gas, we're still early on here. But the more important thing is that food. We haven't even seen peak food prices yet. We haven't even seen the food disruption yet, okay? Remember that planting season was last month. So the prices are going to hit in the summer, like next month and month after. That's when those prices are going to hit. So really, we haven't even seen the real inflation yet. We're only seeing the effects of the manipulated gas right now. We're in the calm right now where everything's being stabilized and manipulated, and yet it's still tracking higher than people are expecting. When the spring inevitably is let go, you gotta understand how insane this is actually gonna be. Once the real gas prices hit, once the food prices hit, once everything else starts to hit, what do you think is gonna happen? So do understand that this inflation number, it's higher than expected, but this is nothing right now. But then the other thing that's really, really important here is that wage growth dropped, okay? So now we hit a crossing point now where inflation is higher than wage growth. And of course, that is stagflation, okay? GDP growth is fake, right? I already explained that how GDP growth is fake. It's propped up by AI spending. That's fake. The real tracker for stagflation is wage growth, because that's your money. That's your real money. So if the prices are going higher than the money you're bringing in, you're screwed. The consumer's screwed. And I'm going to do another video on stagflation, but if we're in the early innings and these are still like the fake, manipulated, smaller numbers, what do you think happens when the real inflation comes in and then the real economic damage to companies actually starts to hit? Remember, the companies aren't spared either, right? When the companies start to get hit, when they start to really feel it, well, they're gonna start to lay people off. They're going to start to lower wages. And I mean, it's a stagflation we've never seen before, okay? And people got to understand, I mean, if you're concerned now at this number, this is the light version. This is the nothing, okay? When we start really burning the reserves, when we start to really feel everything, trouble.
Inflation just surged to the highest level since 2023, and Americans are getting crushed. New numbers show inflation hit 3.8% in April, worse than expected, while gas prices have exploded nearly 30% compared to last year. And yes, this is happening while politicians keep telling you the economy is strong. Strong for who? Because normal people are out here choosing between groceries and filling up their gas tank while Washington acts like everything is under control. Gas prices are now averaging around $4.50 a gallon after the Iran war chaos sent energy costs through the roof. And according to the data, lower income Americans are literally driving less because they can't afford it anymore. Carpooling, skipping trips, taking public transit if they even have access to it. Meanwhile, wealthier Americans barely changing their habits at all. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. This economy is becoming two completely different realities depending on how much more money you make. And it gets worse. Real wages actually dropped, meaning prices are rising faster than paychecks again. So even if you got a raise, congratulations, inflation already ate it. Now, economists are warning the Federal Reserve may not cut interest rates anytime soon, and some are even talking about possible rate hikes next year. So your groceries cost more, your gas costs more, your rent costs more, and now borrowing money might stay expensive too. But don't worry guys, I'm sure another billionaire politician will tell us the economy is booming from the backseat of a motorcade.
Well, it's not your imagination. Just about everything is getting more expensive. Inflation soaring 3.8% versus last year, the highest level of inflation in nearly 3 years. Prices also up for the second month in a row, in large part because of the war with Iran. And, you know, it's average Americans who are paying the price. The typical household is now spending $266 more on the same goods and services compared to last year. Our economy, everything economy guru Elizabeth Schulze joining us now to break it all down. You were even saying on the morning editorial call where everybody within our network is listening in, good news on eggs, not such good news on tomatoes, and then everything else in between.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to find that sliver where you see prices going down. And it's true, eggs are a bright spot. They're down more than 50% for a dozen eggs in the past year. But pretty much everywhere else, we are seeing prices up across the board, including for groceries. A big jump in grocery prices in this April report. You saw that overall rate 3.8%. So, Kira, this is the highest inflation rate we've seen now since May 2023. What that means is we're seeing an acceleration in prices that is largely driven by those higher gas prices. Gas was a huge part of why that number went up, and you saw that trickle into higher airfares. You saw it trigger into energy costs. I was looking at public transportation. That was up. Delivery fees were up. So that's clearly a gas story. But then you've got those ripple effects that we've been talking about now for weeks, and that's where you start to see it in groceries. So ground beef is at an all-time high now. It's up about 20% for a pound of ground beef in the past year. You mentioned tomatoes. Those are up 50%. It is a big price increase for consumers who are going into a time where you typically make burgers with tomatoes on them. So, this is people paying more. That frozen orange juice, another one. Interesting because you see the price of aluminum actually up. That's also still a tariff story playing out here, Kira. So you've got this inflationary pressure, and you really see it in the places where it hits people the most. Gas and groceries, those are things you're buying every day.
And folks are going into debt.
Yeah, so what we see is new numbers from the New York Fed on overall household debt. It is at a record high, which it has been ticking up. This wasn't a huge spike, which is good news. We actually saw credit card debt come down a little bit in the first quarter. Generally, that happens after people are paying off debt from the credit holiday period. But the concern here is that when you look at this inflation data, now you have prices going up faster than people's paychecks. So it becomes a lot harder to absorb those higher prices if your salary is not also going up. That had not been the case for a couple of years now. The fact that we're starting to see those prices outpace take-home pay is really a red flag in the overall economy.
We are entering stage 4 of a 4-part economic collapse, and I'm going to explain it to you really quickly and easily so everybody gets this. Step 1 is the cushion. That's when everybody's got money and the economy is booming. Coming out of COVID, everyone had extra cash to spend. You had a stimulus check, you had savings built up because all the stores were closed and you couldn't leave your house and you had all this extra money sitting. So coming out of COVID, we were sitting really pretty and the economy started booming. Step 2 is the bridge. That's when the savings runs out and everybody starts turning to credit to start covering all of their bills and expenses. And they've built up this lifestyle that they want to maintain, but now it's more expensive. So we start pulling out the credit cards more often and we start going into more debt. We start buying fancier cars like we wanted to, but we're having to pay more for them, and now our bills are higher and our payments are higher and everything just costs more, but we still got credit and the economy looks great. Why would we worry about this? Step 3 is the wall. That's when savings are gone. That's when your credit card debt starts to get to the maximum, when you don't have any more credit limit to spend. This is when everybody starts realizing that they have to start pawning stuff off, which we started seeing. This is when everybody starts shopping more economically. This is why we started seeing a higher increase in high-income families, in Walmart, and Dollar Tree even. This is when you start seeing people start pinching, because it's starting to hurt. Step 4 that we're entering right now is the reset. This is when inflation has gotten to a breaking point. This is when people just can't survive anymore. This is now because lower income and certain neighborhoods are starting to see higher rates of foreclosures. We're starting to see more businesses closing. We're starting to see everybody tightening down because they're trying to figure out how they're going to survive the recession. And this algorithm has played out multiple times in U.S. history. The 70s stagflation is the most similar to what we got going on right now. But just remember that most of the numbers that we're working off of are before the real pain from the tariffs have hit and before you take into account the cost of gas having risen. This is exactly why 40% of U.S. households wouldn't be able to survive a flat tire right now. They don't have the savings and their credit's completely maxed out. And the summer's only going to get worse. Gas prices always rise in the summer, and when you add the Iran war on top of it, they're going to just explode. Not to mention that we're going to start seeing the effects of having been in this struggle start coming through in July. So right now is planting season with farmers, and if the farmers didn't have access to the seeds and the oil and the products and the fertilizers that they needed because of transportation issues and because of shipping issues, because of the oil prices, we're going to start seeing that coming through in July when we have a decrease in available produce and an increase in. And honestly, that goes for most goods. Most goods have to be transported in some fashion, so you're going to start seeing the fallout of those shipping cycles coming through around July. So everything in July is going to immediately go up 20-ish% minimum. And the only real way to combat this or try to get through it is to go into survival mode. Don't do anything that you don't need to do to survive. Groceries, utilities, rent, that should be pretty much it. Anything that costs anything for fun, sorry, can't happen. And do your best to move all your variable interest rate debt into fixed interest rate debt, such as a personal loan. Close the card after you empty it, and then put it all on a fixed rate loan so that it can't go up on you, because the APRs on credit cards are going to start climbing. Mine personally went from 21 to 26 this past year, and they didn't even say anything. They do it quietly. They do it sneaky. They don't tell you about it since you already signed the dotted line when you open the card saying that they can change their variable rate. But you need to go back and double check it because they're going to start creeping up. Average credit card APRs a couple of years ago, I think it was 2022, was 22%. Now the average is closer to 30. A lot of them I'm seeing are 27 and 30%. And I know it sucks for a lot of people and you don't really have the extra, but put anything you can into your savings account. Try to hang on to it. Try to go into a high yield if you can. But you're going to need the money. Everyone's going to need it before the summer's out.
I think we've all forgotten just how far a $20 bill used to go. You could keep a $20 bill for 2 weeks, okay? And I'm talking you'd be well fed. You probably would have went to the movies and maybe bought you something from Forever 21. $20 used to be like having $50. With $20, you could go to McDonald's and buy a meal for 3 people. With $20, you could buy an outfit at the mall and then get something from the food court. Drinks used to be $4 at Starbucks. An expensive meal at McDonald's was like $8, I think. Going to the movies used to be like $2 to $3, sometimes $5. An expensive movie theater, again, was $8. A $20 bill used to go far. A $20 bill used to fill my tank. I lie to you not. I could get a full tank on my 2012 Honda Civic in 2017 with $20. $20 now is like having $5.
If you guys think I'm fucking around, then just keep on scrolling. But I just went up to my gas station to get gas in my car, and there were the yellow bags over the pump, so I walked inside. I'm friends with the owner, and I said, what's going on with gas? Kind of assuming already that things are getting shut down. And she said, basically, she's an Indian lady, but the sweetest lady in the world. And she said, basically, she's not allowed to say anything, but she's not expecting to get gas. And she doesn't have an update on when she's going to get trucks to fill up her tanks again. Tell me this shit is not wild. I went a mile down the road and got some gas at a different gas station, but there were bags over a couple of the pumps. This is, I guarantee you, me, everybody in America, the gas line, the gas supply is about to be cut off. I guarantee it. I guarantee there are going to be such major shortages coming this week, next week, and the following, followed by extremely high gas prices wherever the fuck we can find gas. Good luck to all of us trying to get to work. Good luck to all of us trying to do gig work for our jobs. Good luck to all of us doing anything that requires driving. This is about, I told you a couple of days ago when I made a video that this month is going to be completely changed in a few weeks. It hasn't been more than 3 days since I made that video, and she word for word told me that she's not allowed to say anything, whatever that means. I didn't press her too much because she's a sweet old lady. But this is getting crazy that I literally couldn't even go to my local gas station and get gas. And she told me, she's like, this sucks for her basically because she's losing out on so much money because of the profit that she makes off of gas. Fucking hate this country. I'm telling you. We need to start opening our eyes. You guys need to start opening your eyes. I'm telling you. And all the fucking big mouth hotshots that come on here and laugh and say, you know, stupid ass things. You guys are the problem. You guys are going to be the ones that are left behind. Now, it doesn't bother me if people comment negative shit because I laugh at you guys. I don't really give two licks. It doesn't affect me. But we have to band together. There's so many of us, so many Americans. Like, we call the shots. We have to start figuring out a plan now.